this is Angela McFarlane and you're stamping with aMac. This is the final project that you will have in your goodie bag that we can make. I used the vintage Christmas stamp set for this. I designed this card and with the matching punch, which is from the annual catalogue. So that's the bottle, vintage bottle punch that you can use for that as well. So this stamp set is in the new Christmas catalogue. Just pop them aside. So I've used very vanilla card base for this. This is what you will find in your pack. The card base, the second layer, third layer, the stamped bottle, the little label that will go around your bottle, an embellishment, and you will actually receive a stamped image here, which I will show you how I did because it's actually two-step stamping. So I used cherry cobbler for the ink and stamped that on there, and then I use soft succulent for these little cones in between, and I will show you how they line up. You can see that there's flower centers here. There's a big, medium and small, so we've got the big, medium and small. So I line up the flower centers inside the flowers and stamp that down. So that's how you line that up. And then there's this foliage that you can line up and just stamp in between, and you can see these pieces here will actually fit into these little openings there. So that's how you can line them up. So I just line it up before I stamp it down. I get close, I can see where I'm going. That's the great thing about photopolymer. And then you can just stamp it. So it gives you a really pretty image, and you can see I over inked my stamp there on this one. And then when you have this, you will actually fussy cut this out. So I find the best way to fussy cut is to use little scissors. I've got my Stampin' Up! Paper snips, and I find that I do the cutting in like the V part of the scissors. I find I've got the most control there, and I actually move my paper rather than moving the scissors. You don't have to be super accurate with this foliage, and you'll see why when the card is assembled. So I just use the smaller scissors. I go around the outline, and then we'll attach that to the card. So some people love fussy cutting, others not so much. So apologies for those of you who don't, but it's only the one. It's a pretty easy shape to fussy cut as well. I just thought the cherry cobbler and the soft succulent worked really nicely together on the very vanilla for this card. So it's still kind of Christmassy colours, but just a little bit different without the really bright reds and greens. So you can see this hasn't taken an awfully long time to cut out. And there we have it. Put that aside. So you will already receive this stamped. You will just need to fussy cut it. Okay, this little piece that I did here is from the Happy Holidays stamp in this stamp set, but I didn't want the detail of the words in it. So I purposely, when I gold embossed them, when I put the Versamark on and stamped it down, I sort of moved it around a little bit so I would smudge the words out. So some of them have a little bit of it showing, others don't, and that is actually intentional. I didn't want those stamps showing, so I didn't do a bad embossing job. I just didn't want the words there. So just in case you're wondering. I will have the stamp set with me. If you're not happy with it and you want the full words showing, come and see me and we'll sort it out for you. Okay, I haven't pre-scored your card bases, so you will need to fold them in half. The second layer is cherry cobbler, and my Tombo's nearly run out. Nearly time for a new one. Make sure I've got a little bit of a fuzzy edge there. I'll stick that onto my card base. And then I've run this layer through the time worn embossing folder, the 3D textured embossing folder. I'll just go around and roughen the edges just to make it even more worn and just add a little bit of extra texture. You can just fold up the edges as well. You can even put a little tear along the way if you want to. So I'm happy with that. Whenever I use textured embossing, I always use double-sided tape to stick it down. It seems to stick better. I'm not sure. You probably go okay with the Tombow as well, but it might sort of get into the crevices and stuff and not have as much surface area to stick on. But I definitely don't use like a snail or the Stamp and Seal adhesives or anything like that, because I don't want to push down on it. Now there is writing on this. If you want to check that it's the right way up before you stick it down, you will have a border around the edge of the cherry cobbler. Now for your vintage bottle that I've pre-stamped for you, I will get a bone folder and I will just use it to give it a little bit of shape. So you can see that now it's got a little bit of shape to it. I will grab my dimensionals. You can see I mucked this one up and restamped it on the back because paper has two sides. Okay, so with the dimensionals, I will actually pop two on top of each other to give it a little bit of lift and support that rounded shape that I've created. So that will give you a little bit of extra texture. Then it's up to you where you want to stick your bottle. I've put it fairly close to the bottom because you need room for your flowers. Then when that's stuck on and you've got your the top of the bottle free there, you can wrap your twine around the top, and then I would use a glue dot right about here, so that way I can attach it to my glue dot and crisscross it over. If your twine is a little bit long, you will need to trim it off. And then with the little embellishment there, I would add a couple of glue dots onto the back of that to attach it. If you want to, you can actually roll that up and give that a little bit of extra shape as well. That's up to you. I'll pop a couple of glue dots on the back of that. Okay, then I will attach that to the front of my bottle. Then you can actually sort of tease out the ends of your twine. That might be easier to do before you've attached it to your bottle. There you go, you can ruffle that up a little bit. Then to attach the flower, I'll pop that up onto dimensionals as well because everything else is lifted up. So we'll go here. I won't go too close to the bottom there. But before I stick this down, I do want to attach this embellishment. Now this embellishment is from the open leaf trinkets. They're really, really cute, and you get 20 in your pack. So I find the easiest way to attach this, depending which way you want it to go, I'd rather have mine sort of following the curvature of the flower. So I will attach a glue dot to the top side of it. Pull my little glue dot off, and then I will attach that underneath. Or you can stick your flowers down first and then sort of slide your embellishment into place. There we go. Okay, so I've got all of that attached now. For the greeting, you can, if it's a little bit too long, you can flag the end. So for the flagging, I just snip up the middle to where I want to go, except that wasn't the middle. And then I will go from this end and from this corner into the middle, and that creates a fairly even flag, and we can slide that under there. So you can either use double-sided tape or some Tombow. I use a little bit of double-sided tape, and I just lift this up a little bit and slide it under. If this end is a little bit too long as well, if it's bumping into a dimensional, you can just snip that off. I can attach that to the front of our card. So there you have it, a lovely Christmas card from the Vintage Christmas set. I hope you've enjoyed that. Happy stamping and enjoy the retreat. Thanks for watching.